Okay. Call the meeting to order. City of West Liberty, Iowa. Regular city council meeting, August 17th, 2021. All councilors are present except for Councilor Rock. In attendance, here is also Lee Gertz, City Treasurer, City Clerk. And do we have Mr. Hoagland?
Yes.
I don't see him. Is on Zoom.
I'm here. Hopefully you can hear me. Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, can we have a approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 4-0. We have the first item is the consent agenda that has two items. The regular council meeting minutes of August 3rd, and also the approval for a Class C beer permit and Sunday sale privileges for St. Louis Sports Bar.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any further discussion?
Chief on.
The chief is not. I did ask, and in your memo, there's been no issues.
Perfect.
Okay, I was gonna ask, is it, there must be a typo. It says on issues.
No issues.
No, okay. Okay, so no issues reported.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 4-0. We have two vendor vouchers claims list. The first one is in the amount of $410,453.95.
Motion.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 4-0. We have second voucher, vendor vouchers claims list in the amount of $27.
Motion.
Motion second. Is there any further discussion? This one would be because this would be Council Member McFerrin, his business, her husband's business, just so if anybody realizes why we separated those. Any further? Hearing none. All in favor?
Abstain.
Passes 3-0 with one abstention. We're on to public comments and correspondence. Council members, we'll start with Councilmember Smith. Any public comments? Councilmember McFerrin?
I did have a question, but it's coming from me in regards to, I just wanted to find out if we need to meet for utilities in regards to the security, like any security breach as far as our internet security.
As far as a risk assessment, risk analysis, I can have, we can reach out to Verbal Blakely with the BHM engineers to see if there's something that they're doing. Because I know we just did that with the water department. Is that something along the lines you were thinking about?
Well, I was thinking more about cybersecurity, like breaches with hacks, and that's why I was just concerned. I didn't know if that was something we had to meet or.
I think that it's an operational concern, so we can, let me reach out and ask some questions on that, and I'll follow back up with you.
Okay, otherwise, that's all I had.
Councilmember Zacharias?
No.
Councilmember Ryan?
I had a complaint that I turned over to Lee. That's all I have.
And day-to-day operation. Yeah. Okay, good. Lee, did we any correspondence by email or phone or in public or in person? Anybody on Zoom that has anything for the council that would be public comments related? Any hands raised or anything like that?
Do not.
Okay,
Bob, there's something else I'd like to say. I'd like to recommend the street department or commend the street departments for some of the sidewalks and stuff they've done. Everything's looking pretty nice. They've been putting some, those I don't know what you call them there in the front, right
The
over the
ramps.
road,
They've been looking
the
at like
ramps,
the
the,
corners, the 8
yes,
feet
the corners and stuff, they did a really good job. I'd like to recommend them for that.
Good, so we note it, you can put that in, Lee. Okay, we'll move on to old business, discussion and appropriate follow-up for the ATV application form.
So again, just looking for council approval, this has been brought back, it has been reviewed by Chief Whirling. And we had just changed some things around to make some more consistent with the application wording. And then he asked to separate out for the inspection. So then that way the officer can check off each item and to identify that they reviewed it. And so that is the finished between the chief and the administration. So
What is the fee that the city is considering?
it was $30 for this.
$30.
And then we're gonna do the golf cart, we're not gonna look at the ATVs and everything else, they're gonna be on the roads. They're not gonna,
No, all of them.
oh, they are gonna do all
All
of
of
them,
them
okay,
will have to be
perfect,
inspected.
okay,
Yeah, and they're all required to have that
okay.
same equipment with the golf cart. You just specified it more to
Yep.
like a street type.
Legal,
Yeah.
perfect, yep.
And again, our staff and the police department have been reviewing, there are some internal procedures that I added along with that, so you can kind of understand what the process from the administration side is gonna look like. And there was some more discussion that came up today. And so we'll be working through those. Again, I mean, some of these things we're gonna have to, you know, as we go along, we'll identify. So there may, you know, be a chance that we're gonna have to amend some things, but for the most part, we went through it pretty thoroughly and had some discussions. Some things came up today that we didn't think about, but Chief Whirling has identified those and do those, and those have to do with the inspection. So you're not gonna be able to drive your ATV to get inspected because it's not licensed. If you don't have a trailer to put it on, it would have to be on a trailer for them to inspect. If it's not on the trailer, then what Chief Whirling is saying is then they'll make contact and go to the home to inspect. There had also been a few phone calls already from community members living outside with golf carts from the housing additions or from the golf course wanting to commute back into town or out. And we've explained that once they leave on Prairie, that becomes county. And so, you know, it's not permitted by county for golf carts. They would have to take that up with the county supervisors.
And I've already talked to Santos about that. Santos says that they would not give, because if they did it for us, that they'd have to do it for others, and they're not willing to start bouncing around doing that, so.
So it just, that's just some things that have already come up. So Friday is when we'll start taking applications. And the other part of the process in there will be the scheduling of the inspections. So again, your application comes in during the week, and then they will do the inspections within a week from the time your application is filed.
I was asked whether or not the city is gonna make public the regulations of this transaction, meaning index. Are we gonna post all the rules?
So we will have it on our website, and the
Website.
application will be there once we finalized the application part. Then we'll put the entire packet on the website. And then we'll use social media then as well to let folks know and direct them to that.
Maybe put a link.
We will make it available to everybody on all avenues.
Thank you,
As
Jason.
I say, I thought Jacob was here so we can.
Yeah.
Other thing is too, we'll have, you know, we'll definitely have the applications available at City Hall. So, you know, if they need to come in and pick up an application or fill it out there, if they have questions. But again, most importantly is having, the application has a shortened version of definitely everything you need to be prepared when you come in to file for your permit. So again, your driver's license, insurance, just to start off, but it also simplifies and identifies the equipment too. So, but when it comes to the regulations within that ordinance, then they're definitely gonna want to, and that will be included with their application too, so we know that they've received the ordinance along with their application
Thank you.
process.
I'll make a motion to approve the application and the certificate of inspection.
You don't know what the second part she may say.
All good.
There's a motion and a second. Any further? Hearing none.
Dave knows Diane very well.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 4-0. Next is resolution 2021-10817-35, and this is for approval of a pay estimate number 4 to SG Construction in the amount of $71,131.57. And this is for the police department and city hall building improvement project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Leo, anything?
No, this, it looks like we're about, no, not even halfway through on the billing part of this project, and they're well over halfway through on the construction. So that means you're in a position for the city to pay this, and it sounds like everything's going pretty well. I know they're working hard to try to get everybody into the building by the end of August. Our people are saying that's pretty optimistic, but I know they're pushing hard. So I think things are going reasonably well here. And recommend approval.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Councilmember Veronica?
Yes.
Councilmember Zacharias?
Yes.
Councilmember McFerrin?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
0. We have resolution -36. This is change order 4 in the amount of $5,260.88. And this is for the same project in scope.
Motion.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Leo, can you give just a quick synopsis of the change order here?
Hold on one second here. Let me get off something.
If you don't, I went over this and
Well, I guess the only thing I'd like to say, and Lee can add, she probably knows more of the details, but from what I understand, this change order is not included on that pay estimate, so none of this has been paid for. Some of this work, I think some of the lock set and the plywood might be done, but others are waiting on the equipment and some of the windows. Lee, do you want to fill in any details?
yeah, so the window is in, and again, that was when I had discussed this at a previous meeting, when it was really dark, in one of the spaces, we had overlooked having a window. So the window has now been in, and it definitely lightens up the office area. It's very closed in, no window at all, allowing light. The IT with the plywood is done, but again, that was a fire permitting, to make sure that from the heat and things that needed to be done. And then the storeroom lock set, in addition, is again, just some things for security purposes that we hadn't looked at. So everything I would recommend paying. Things that we-
I would like to add one more thing. I did talk to from structural engineer who came over and looked at the planter outside, and it sounds like the contractor is not happy with how the concrete aesthetically looked when it was done. So the contractor has proposed to do a couple of different things, and I think him and Tara now are on the same page of what to do to enhance that looks, and that's going to be at no cost to the city.
That's correct.
Sounds great. Any further questions from council? Hearing none. Councilmember McFerrin?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember,
Yes.
Councilmember Browning?
Yes.
Passes 4-0. We are up to the West Liberty Arts Council event request. It's the summer music in the park. Janet is here. Janet Reese. Would you like to
Yeah, I just
talk
wanted
briefly?
to, I wanted to come tonight because I wanted to say I'm sorry that we didn't do this in the right order of things. It was a case where the right hand didn't know what the left hand had forgotten to do. And so I just wanted to say, not that it's a little bit in our defense, we actually started a new business in town this summer. We started, we had the plein air outdoor painting event going on, and we have music in the park, and it just kind of got our small little group overwhelmed for a minute. And I really appreciate the fact that you all have been very supportive, even though we didn't follow the right time frame. So that's all
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
we'd like you to come.
Yeah, it's very good music,
Good music.
nice crowd, so.
Yeah, yeah. The next thing is brass, bring your own brass.
Yeah.
And then the Tres Colores, which I love. I love that.
Bring your own grass.
What now?
Bring your own grass.
Bring your own brass. Yeah, it's evidently a brass ensemble.
Yeah, I heard from the university.
Whole different festival.
Yeah, yes, not that kind of event,
Yeah,
but they're from the University of Iowa.
Yeah.
so I think it'll be fun. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for your work on it, Janet.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 4-0. We're on to setting a employee committee meeting to review the city handbook update request for staffing increases for the West Liberty Library, Electric Department, and Ambulance Departments.
Motion to set a committee meeting.
There-
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any further discussion? We do.
So-
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so I did receive follow-up from Robbie, and he had communicated Friday would work for him, and was a year the other one on the employee.
I'm okay.
So I will follow up with the employee committee attentively for Friday. And I know maybe further on down in our meeting, we'll have more of a discussion about the personnel side of information during that meeting that
This coming
we'll
Friday.
outline for agenda. Yes. I'll follow up for sure once I confirm with Robbie on time.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 4-0. Next is setting a finance committee meeting for the end of year, June 30th, 2021's financial review and update on the audit comment work.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
So just, this was something that financial committee discussed, and I just wanted to go ahead and move forward and set that quarterly meeting since we'll be coming up at the end of
October.
October.
Okay, October would be better.
Mhm.
Okay. Were you gonna reach out and set it, or should we set it now?
We'll just, I'll just say in October, and then I'll reach out to the
Okay.
committee and we'll set that, and I'll update council on the next meeting.
Sounds great. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 4-0. And then on to setting a strategic planning session for December 2nd at 5 p.m. And this would be administered by Callahan Municipal Consultants.
That's
Second.
Motion is second. That's usually Pat's not ours for
That's on a Thursday?
So Mr. Mayor and Council, what I was just looking at trying to do is, we've done that in the past, the first part of December. So this would be an off week of your council meeting. So this would have the work session prior to the next week's council meeting. That way you don't have, because I know we've had it times where you've had council meeting and the next night you've had your planning, so this will also allow time if there's newly elected officials to participate in this.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Do we
Pass.
know where yet?
No, those will be, I'll identify
Okay.
where we'll have our meeting at. So,
Okay.
and then we'll let you
Sorry.
know. No, that's okay.
Just occurred to me.
Passes 4-0. We're on to reports. Leo, we'll start with you.
Yes. Just quick report on Rainbow Ave. We are 100% done with all of the surveying in the field for that. So like I told you in September, we should have a preliminary layout of kind of what the street could look like with sidewalks and trail, kind of some questions on that to come back to you. So that's going well. The survey projects for the acquisition plat at Dutton Park and the lot survey are almost done. The lot survey, it seems like all of them have taken a little extra work than what we thought. We had to go back to the courthouse because of trying to legally tie everything in. You have to have so many pins found and that type of thing. So I'm hoping next week we'll have that done. And then well number two, as everybody knows, has been a snag, and we're trying to get Northway in there to do the cleaning or the brushing of the casing pipe. It looks like that roof, the roof opening can be altered. Kenny Morrison gave us an estimate of $7,500, and he said he thinks that's a high estimate. I don't have it in writing. I got it verbally today. So I'd like to get something in writing from him. And then they want to alter the fence, which might have an additional cost of up to about $1,000. The last thing is there's a canopy that goes around if you go to the water plant, it's like a red metal coping. And Northway asked us to take that off where they were going to put their rig in. And that, from what we understand from Kenny Morrison and from Danny, who went up there, it looks like it's really not easy to take off. It's tied in deeply into the struts, into the roof struts and things like that. So I'm going to get back with Northway and I'll report to you with hopefully a written letter by the next council meeting on all of this, so we can get that done. I really do think if we could get that done, it would be really good for the city to get another water source. Things that are going on in the country, not necessarily in the Midwest yet, but still worrisome. Okay, finally, the pool slide. We sent our structural engineer over to take a look at the pool slide. One of the pillars that the pool lived in, he took a small sledgehammer and whacked it, and it kind of all started to crumble apart. So obviously it was not structurally stable. So they came up with a plan, and I think Gene is going to get to you guys a plan that like somebody like All American could quickly do. And I think the pool closes in a week, and I don't think this will take long at all to do. So next year you should be up and running, and the cost should be very low on just doing this. It's just gonna put some rebar down into the good part of the concrete and then rebuild it with some forming. So not a big problem, I guess. That's all I had for today.
Any questions for Leo from the council? Thank you, Leo.
Thank you.
Next is the wastewater treatment report. Is Craig with us tonight?
Craig is not.
Okay, we do have the wastewater treatment plant report in our packets. Was there any questions or anything council needed? Maybe that we really relay if there's any. Hearing none. We'll go on to the library report. Ally. You're actually down here instead of on Zoom.
Yeah, so we have had a lot going on at the library. I do have a couple of candidates for trustee positions opening, open. And then I have filled all of the positions that have been poached by City Hall. We were also, I know, right? Shocking. We're also going to be looking at hiring some additional like library aides, which would be like high school students to start helping out off some of our higher circulating times, and then we're also looking at adjusting our hours. We'll be open for the same number of hours, just reducing our weekday hours and increasing our weekend hours. We are doing our bookmobile outreach at Atalissa and Nichols, which is going over really well. We had 21 people come into the bookmobile last weekend. We're hoping that with some additional advertisement, we can increase that even more.
It's a great, the bookmobile is, if you haven't had an opportunity to visit that, just like to tell council, it's from being a community member in Nichols, my granddaughter and I visited, she checked out 4 books and had them all read, and now we're ready to bring them in. But it was really nice introduction for her in a small atmosphere. And it was also really neat because when you go outside of the bus, it has a story on it as well that you can walk around the bus. So it was really nice to have that opportunity.
And we're contracting with Antelope Lending Library out of Johnson County. They're currently looking at expanding to more rural communities to help areas that are not necessarily library deserts, but just have less access. It has Wi-Fi, it's got air conditioning, games. We stay there for about an hour and then we move on to the next location.
Sounds great. Any questions for Alan? Thank you. Okay, we are on to closed sessions.
There's no other reports.
No.
There's some other reports that were provided. I did have a quick meeting with our staff today just to touch base. All of our departments have been extremely busy. This is the time of the year where we start making that transition, I hate to say it, from the summer season and start preparing for fall season. And so we did touch base on some things that are going on from administration, just trying to, work on our communication with each other, customer service discussions. And also, we're all getting excited to have Dave join us next week. And so talk to staff a little bit about that, and then also introduce Chief Whirling to the supervisors as well. So, and that's all I had to add for. And again, Adam did say they were working on the corners. The trees are all down for the season. The contractors will be coming around to remove the stumps. And then Ed reported that their tree trimmers are back in town and they're gonna continue the next section of tree removal from the electric lines. And then Danny Goodell didn't, just had a couple of alarms over the last weekend and handled those. Other than that, that's what we have kind of going on in a nutshell, so.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask the council, just so everybody that's on Zoom will know that we're asking the council to go into 2 closed sessions. One's gonna be a reference discussion of purchase or sale of particular real estate. That would be code section 21.5.1 subsection J, and the second one would be reference litigation, and that's code section 21.5.1 subsection C. Just to let you know, we'll go into closed session if council approves that. We'll come back out into open, and then we'll go into the same procedure for the second closed session. So those closed sessions will be on a secure, not available to the public Zoom, just to let everybody know. So I will read the first closed session. The city council desires to hold a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code section 21.5.1 subsection J to discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price of the government body would have to pay for that property, or reduce the price the government body would receive for that property. The minutes and audio recording of the session closed under this paragraph shall be available for public examination when the transaction discussed is completed. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Councilmember Zacharias. Councilmember Ronnie.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember McFerrin.
Yes.
Passes 4-0. We are going to go into closed session. We are going. Okay, we are in the open session. The last closed session that we had did not have any action. There is no action to be had into this open meeting for that session. And now we're going to go ahead and ask the council to go back into a second closed session, and I will go ahead and read that from the agenda. The city council desires to hold a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.5.1 subsection C to discuss strategy with council on matters that are presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent, where its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation.
Motion to go in second.
Motion and a second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember McFerrin,
Yes.
Councilmember Zacharias, Councilmember Barone.
Yes.
Is passed 4-0. We will be in closed session again, and we will go out of open meeting and go back into a closed session. Okay, we are back into open session. There is no action preceding the second closed session. There is nothing else on the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion
Oh.
to adjourn.
Just a second.
I apologize. You have
Yeah.
action related to the first portion of the
Right.
second closed
Yes.
session.
Yep, sorry, I was confusing you.
That's all right.
I'll make a motion to, what are we doing? Consider an agreement with Bowman and Miller.
I'll second.
Do I need
Agreed upon procedures.
agreed upon procedures?
And was that
I
second?
seconded, yeah.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember McFerrin,
Yes.
Zacharias.
Yes.
Councilmember Barone. Passes 4-0. Okay,
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. I know it was a long time ago when we talked about that.
There's one thing before we leave. I would like to-
underneath old business. You got something?
Yes, so after all of this has happened and all the lies and everything and going, there are people that are still bringing stuff out into the public and harassing our employees. I want to send it back to the personnel committee to take a look at what we do with those individuals that work for the city, that are still slandering the city. And what are we to do when they've already had their verbal warning to stop it?
Okay, I don't know if we even need to send it back to a committee. I think that we go to the city manager. Especially if we have something that is documented that those actions have been documented and they've been given their warning. And if there's actually action that can be taken because they've continued those behaviors, city managers jumping on a hot seat right away. So I guess, Lee, if you're aware of that or not aware of that, can you have Councilmember Smith make you aware of that and then we can follow up on that?
Mr. Mayor, you know, in what my recommendation would be is to, we do have our communication policy. I think that I would recommend that we reach out to our attorneys and just review what's actually occurring and take some and get some legal guidance, and we can include then our new city manager in on that discussion and then bring back what our steps need to be for that.
Because if they've already been warned and that's been documented, it can be insubordination and they can follow up on that issue. Anything else? Hearing none, motion to adjourn,
Motion.
Second.
motion second. Any further? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Closed.